What is the most NSFW thing that happened at your work? There was so much, but I think the one that takes the cake is my manager, who was 30 or so, was caught by my then boyfriend dry humping a 15-year-old in the office. Just one, I worked at a pet shop with a very crass manager. He once started asking me how many men of how many different races I've had and if it's true what they say about race and size. I don't mind that conversation, but next to the super modest, virgin, religious Muslim colleague, really? The other time, he asked the delivery boy, "Bro, you hungry?" And the guy is like, "Oh." So our boss goes, "Wanna eat my D?" There were customers. Same delivery guy once, again, wouldn't stop nagging. So our boss said, "Okay, now you're gonna get ducked in the ass." Unzips his jeans, starts unbuckling his belt, and chasing the kid all over the store, again indifference to any customers. A guy quit and sent a company-wide farewell email detailing all the places he had sex in our office buildings, in pretty graphic detail. The IT department removed it from the servers, but I assume someone saved it somewhere. Worked for a trucking delivery company one summer. A woman got fired for, well, I guess you'd call it nymphomania. She would disappear for 20 minutes pretty often without a good explanation. She got caught having sex at least 4 times that I know of, once with a customer in the bathroom, 3 times with the drivers in their trucks. She was warned in writing to stop having sex while at work. She just couldn't do it. The last time both she and the truck driver got fired on the spot. I worked at a gym that would do anything to sign up new members. As part of the outreach promotions, members of the sales team would regularly head out into the city to hand out free one-day passes, with the hope of converting them once they had their details on file. One day a homeless guy comes in with a pass. We couldn't say no and he headed inside to use the showers. Fair enough. The changing rooms were checked hourly, as were the showers, and it was during these checks that a member of my team noticed blood trailing into the shower gutter. On checking, the homeless guy had taken his opportunity of a free shower to treat himself to a DIY pedicure, as he sat carving the hard skin off his feet with a razor blade. This guy was standing at the edge of the second floor of a building that was in the middle of construction trying to catch a shovel someone was throwing up to him from the ground. No barriers at the edge of the second floor, no safety harness, extremely unsafe for work. She would have had a field day. I work in a very rundown 7/11, and one of my co-workers is a routine drunk. Like, seeing her without a bottle stashed somewhere near her is a rare occurrence. One day, it was obvious that she had drank way more than usual. She was drooling all over the place, falling asleep on customers, and eating literally everything off of the shelves that she could see. Capital I. Being somewhat responsible, take her into the back room to calm her down. I go to make a pot of coffee and get some aspirin. When I come back, she's passed out, completely naked and covered in ketchup from the fridge. There's a half-eaten hamburger stuck to the side of her cheek, her ass cheek. On a multi-story construction site, typically there will be an elevator operator. On my first job site ever, the elevator operator was a very short, very friendly Hispanic woman. She would make small talk with everyone and lightly flirt occasionally. A coworker thought the light flirting was a bit more and, when he was the only other one in the elevator, whipped his erect D out. She promptly reported him and he was summarily fired. Edit. Obligatory ripping box. I get it. D's out for Harambe. Aerosmith wrote a relevant song. Wrong on so many levels. Something going down. I work in a photo lab and I've seen child porn and animal abuse. The good thing is that in order to send in your photos to be printed, you need to enter your first and last name and phone number. Every last one of these people got arrested after my department reported the photos. Early 2000s I was working at a hospital. Every year we would have to get vaccinations and I had just gotten mine done and was walking back to my office and noticed a full decontamination of ambulance personnel and ambulance as well as the helicopter. It seems that in the next county over at a lumber yard a man fell into a vat of cyanide and hit his head. The ambulance picked him up and was coming back to Tallahassee and met the helicopter who brought him the rest of the way in. From what I was told, they took him straight to the morgue so he would not spread the cyanide. He died either from the head wound or the cyanide. They kept the doctors away from him until they suited up, but by that time he was already gone. Another time the window washers were working one day and there was a scream as one of the guys fell to his death. Full stop. My boss ducked her GF on her desk and told me about it. I've masturbated in my work chair and I told my boss about it. My boss brings in her bull mastiff child every day. It is a show dog and not neutered. Its lipstick is constantly out. Nobody really interacts with it or says anything, but she brings it over to each of us every morning and talks about his big D. How it's always out and at the ready, laughing like it's cute or impressive. I'm so sick of hearing about dog Ds. Someone help. Edit. Extra apostrophe. So at my last job, every year they would throw a mini party for all employees who had been there for 5+ years. This year, they got a cabin in a small mountain town and took everyone for an overnight adventure. Well, of course, part of the adventure was a bit of partying. It's no secret that the CEO is somewhat of a pothead, so no one was surprised when a batch of pot brownies made it to the cabin, but no one ate them. The next day, they all returned to the office and all the leftover food was spread out in the office kitchen so the rest of the company could enjoy some snacks. Well, someone didn't realize that they were special brownies and set them out. One of the designers cut himself quite a large brownie and ate it. The CEO realized what happened and removed the batch from the kitchen, then went on a search around the office in hopes of stopping whoever had taken the brownie. It was too late. The designer was totally ripped and spent the rest of the day eating snacks and coloring in a coloring book. We have showers at work, so people riding by bike can refresh themselves. Girl sharing an office with me rode that day too. When she left the shower, she came back with her bag to the room, but she apparently forgot something, like hair conditioner or something like that. She made quick run for it and moment later came back with her bag. It took me a minute to understand what's happening, but before I spoke, door opened and another girl came in, completely naked, hands on her hips. Ah, there it is. Yep. My office mate took the other girl's identical bag with her, and she ended up roaming fully nude around the floor looking on it. Guess who got fired? 2 security guys after being caught, separately, red-handed jerking off to video of her walking around. Once when I was younger and worked in a restaurant, I showed up to work without my slip-resistant shoes. My boss was like, "Hey, where are your slip-resistant shoes?" Then I remembered that they were in my car. So I went and changed into them. It was crazy. I almost started my shift without my slip-resistant shoes. The girl who had been writing 6 toys and other stuff off as expenses and used them with her customer was a good one. She unsurprisingly went to work for that customer after she got fired. I overheard a new hire mention to someone that he had found a flash drive on the floor in the break room, but it was just blank. I told him to let me see it. I have my PC set to show hidden files. Nope, didn't. It was full of hundreds of pictures of someone's wife, naked, sucking a D, getting ducked, using a vibe, posing, and on and on. The guy's face wasn't in any of the pictures. The funny part is that all the pictures had been renamed. There were only a couple left with the default name. Hundreds of files had each been manually renamed. Brushing her teeth with her titties out JPG, sucking my hard cock in a blue nightgown JPG, spreading her pussy on the bed JPG, ducking her ass with a handle of her hairbrush and licking her lips JPG. Then there was a folder with just his first name, Tony, and her name, which I can't remember. There were a few guys named Tony who worked there. I asked a couple of co-workers if any of them knew any of the Tony wives' names. Got a match. Hit Tony up on IM. "Did you lose a flash drive?" He responded with BRT, and about 3 seconds later, he comes speed walking over from his department. Bright red, flop sweat, looking like a complete nervous wreck. He took it, said thanks, walked away. The kicker, to me, is this guy always called me and everyone else guy because he didn't bother learning anyone's name. What's up, guy? You'd think after 5 years there and me saving your ducking job you'd remember my name. Nope. Continued to call me guy. I work at one of those hipster co-working spaces which is also the host to an assortment of programmer meetups in town. One evening during a meetup, This guy just finished his presentation and we were transitioning to the next speaker. Shortly after she comes up, some hardcore interracial pornography starts playing on the TV that the Apple TV was connected to. The previous speaker had been using it for his slides or something, and once he sat down his phone was still connected to it, I guess. Not exactly sure how Apple TV works. Apparently his brother sent him a link to a video in text and he clicked it and it just automatically started playing on the TV in front of about 24 people. He promptly stood up and unplugged the TV from the wall and left the room. He came back shortly after apologizing with some "It like my brother is such a D." It was hands down the most cringe-worthy moment of my life. Multiple BJs in various stages witness from drive-through payment window. I ducked my fiancé in a hospital room that wasn't occupied because it was my birthday and I was horny as I got off my shift. Co-worker banging girl from produce in the dairy cooler thinking the shelving would hide the deed. Store manager was not pleased when he got the complaint. Edit. Wow. So many questions. This appears to be very common. The store I was at was in NW, Indiana, and this was around the year 2000.